Hi everyone, today I'm going to open the April Artsnacks Plus box. And as you can tell, my mail carrier doesn't care if it's raining or not. See how the water has actually made the lid warp, and we can actually grab everything. So I'm hoping there's no rain that went in there. They don't realize that they can open the screen door and put it safely between the screen door and the front door so that the packages don't get wet. It annoys me. So today we are getting a pad of Rembrandt watercolor paper. It says it's artist quality. It's 5.3 by 7 inches, so 5 by 7 inches, and it's a block actually. Oh, it's interesting, the texture. Trying to see where the opening. Oh, right here is the opening to unglue your paper. And oh, it is 100% cotton. Nice. And it's cold press. Oof. Very nice. How many sheets? 20 sheets. Ugh, it's so wet everywhere. So we're getting some Smarties. And, oh, this is my third one. A Molotov liquid chrome. These are really good. But we already have, oh wait, never mind. It's a thicker tip this time. I think I have a thinner tip. So this is what comes in the Artsnacks Plus box. And this is what comes in the regular Artsnacks box. We got a Faber-Castell Pit Artist Pen. That's the big brush. It's in blue. Oh, we got two of them. So let's see. I'm looking for the actual color name. Oh, cobalt green and ultramarine. Micron. Oh, PN. That's a little plastic tip. These are nice too. I already have some. I think this is a. I never know if it's blue. No, it's black. I always think it's blue because this, I don't know, maybe it's my eyes. This part here looks dark blue. Then we've got two Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua. I received a set with the scroller box quite a while ago, and I didn't really care for them. They're student grade. They're not very pigmented in my opinion. And a Tombow water brush. I've got a lot of water brushes. I never tried a Tombow water brush before. So, and it's a flat brush. Nice. And here's the little sticker. Oh, and before I forget, I always do, the prompt for the Artsnacks box plus is the Molotov liquid chrome marker works on all different surfaces. Experiment with plastic, glass, or wood to create something truly unique. Okay, so it's not really an art prompt to use all these. So Never mind. For my swatches, I used a piece of scrap watercolor paper because I didn't want to waste the nice paper that I just got in the box. And I started with the Micron plastic nib. And I already have 2 of those that I got in previous boxes. And actually, I must say they're really nice. I should have used them more often. I like how the tip seems really nice and sturdy. And you can create a couple different size lines with them. So I'm going to try to use those more often because I like them. I also like the Faber-Castell big brush pens. I have a few of those already, different colors. Again, I get them in different boxes. And they're great. I like those 2 colors in particular. They're beautiful. Again, because the nib is flexible, then you can create different size lines. I try to put the pigment on a ceramic palette and lift it with my water brush. And the colors look really nice on the watercolor paper that way too. For the Gold Faber Aqua watercolor pencils, I'm already familiar with them. I tried to paint something with them and I was very frustrated. They go on paper very nicely. They're very creamy. So if you only use them as colored pencils, they're great, I think. But you're very quickly limited as far as the saturation is concerned. They do dissolve really nicely with water and a brush. And the colors are very nice as well, but you're very limited. You can't add a second layer and try to add to the saturation. It doesn't work. For some reason, once that first layer is diluted, it's hard to add more to it. So I knew what I was getting into with those pencils to start with, but they work well with the water brush by Tombow. I really like that it's a flat one. With water brushes, you can clean them by just squeezing a little bit of water out and rubbing the bristles on a paper towel. It cleans really well. Although I kind of got those bristles stained a bit because of the markers, but that's okay. It doesn't affect the use of the brush. The Molo to liquid chrome marker is really cool. If you're not familiar with it, if you use it on a regular paper, it just looks like metallic paint. But if you look at on the non-porous surface, like glass or ceramic, or here I'm trying it on Yupo paper. Once it's dry, it takes a while to dry, but once it's dry, it keeps a mirror finish. So it's really, really neat. So you can also see the difference with the nibs. The one that I got before was a very fine metal nib. This one is a bigger felt nib, so I'm glad I got that one. For my challenge, I decided to draw a portrait, and I got the reference photo on the Sketchy app once again. I lined the whole portrait with the Micron pen, and once I was done with it, I was a bit scared because it's not something I do very often when I make portraits, unless it's just an ink portrait. So I just took the plunge and I just kept on going and hoping for the best. I had fun doing the hair that way. I thought it looked really nice. And the surface of that watercolor paper by Rembrandt is really nice. It's not very, very rough for a cold press paper. And so it was pretty easy to use the Micron pen on it. I like that. So because my model has black hair, I try to use a lot of the black, especially in the shadow areas. But the nib is really fine, and so I didn't want to spend my time just darkening the hair. So I did as much as I could, just showing the lines of the hair, and so that I would continue with the blue brush pen later. Because I didn't know where I was going to use the green marker, I decided to use it in the background. So I used my water brush. I get the background all wet, and then I put the green pigments on my ceramic palette, and I just charged the paper with it. Unfortunately, it didn't spread very well, so it's probably not due to the watercolor paper, but mostly to the pigment, because I don't think the ink from that brush pen is supposed to be doing that in the first place. I used the 2 colored pencils on the jacket, and I kind of mix them and try to work on the values. It was a bit hard, but I did what I could. And then I went for the hair again. Once more, I used the blue pigment on the ceramic palette, and I diluted it with my brush pen and I applied it on the hair. Then I realized it was way too light in color, so I went straight with the marker on the hair, which looked much better. But in the highlights, I used my water brush before the marker was dry, and I spread it a little bit to soften the edges, and I really liked the look. When I went back to the jacket once it was dry, I tried to add more saturated colors from the color pencils, and it didn't really work very well. I knew it wouldn't, but I tried anyway. So I decided to use my micron pen, and I just did some cross hatching to show the shadows instead. I picked up a little bit of blue pigment on my ceramic palette again with the water brush, and I filled in the eyes. I also put a little bit of the blue on the eyeballs, trying to leave a white highlight. And then I used both pencils. When I tried those two pencils, right away I knew that I would use it for a portrait because I could mix the yellow and the red and make some decent skin tone. So that's what I did. It's not very natural looking, but I think it's not too bad. I first applied a layer of yellow, and then I went over that with the red. And in the shadow areas, I pushed more on the red pencil to hopefully create darker, deeper colors. And then I just went in with my water brush and started diluting everything. I thought it went pretty well. I'm glad I tried to saturate the paper with as much pigment from the pencils as possible, because I knew I was not going to be able to go over it very much after that. I tried to clean my brush after each little areas because I didn't want my brush to have too many pigments, because I still wanted the face to be light enough and not totally covered with pigments. So that's why I clean my brush very often, and I kind of liked the way it turned out. I tried to darken the hair a little bit more, the same way I did the previous time, straight with a brush marker, and then softening the edges with the water brush. I added a little bit of blue on the teeth for the shadows so that they wouldn't be all white. And once the face was dry, I tried to add more pencil, but it didn't really work very well. So now there was one supply I hadn't used yet, and I really didn't know where to use it, so I just used it on the shirt and added a few highlights on the hair with the silver. That's about it. So I'm happy with the result. The supplies are really nice, except for the watercolor pencils. I knew I wouldn't like them, but I liked the colors that I had, so they allowed me to make a decent portrait. If you received the box this month, please let me know if you like those pencils and if you were able to tame them, because I was never able to. And what color did you get? How about the markers? Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel and clicking on that little bell to get a notification next time I post a video. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.